Just a man on a mission, ambition to never fail. Personality electric, he is animated male. Intelligent and wise, calm and often cool. Chris James giving opinions while also speaking the truth. Empathy and compassion. Stephen Michael is here, helping you through your traumas, helping you with your fears. These three forces combine and keep it honest. Turn up the volume, cause this is the application of knowledge.
We're about to get into this next podcast. I am animated male, Chris James,
Hi.
Stephen Michael. And yeah, man, we're about to have some fun, man. I hope your all's week and day has been pleasant and all that beautiful stuff. And once again, appreciate all the love y'all been showing out there.
If you love us, subscribe to us.
Subscribe, hit
the
them
like
thumbs
button.
ups and all that stuff. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell so you are aware when we are live and when we are going active and all that stuff. Every Wednesdays, podcast every Wednesday, so look out for them then, all right? But yeah, man, today we want to talk about...
What we talking about?
We're going to be talking about a clip that sort of kind of went viral that's talking... Well, it's the Fresh and Fit podcast. I believe that's the name of their podcast. Mm-hmm. And these two gentlemen, they have been saying some egregious things when it comes...
Egregious.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen A. looking.
Yeah, when it comes to, women of Afro descent with a lot of melanin in their skin and, the copper color queens out there.
Copper-colored, melanated queen.
And so I guess we'll let you all see it. And then from that point on, we'll give our take on it and all that stuff. But yeah, here it is. Actually, I don't know what the original clip is, so I'm watching it from Abba and Preach, which is a pretty cool YouTuber.
So we are reacting
to a reaction.
Of a reaction.
All right,
Wow.
let's get into it. All right.
For black women, and they're like, "Yo, listen."
What about the black dating app called Black? Oh, it's funny. I never used that one, bro. But hey, man.
I mean, hey, bro, if you want to date a bunch of Shaniquas, go for it, man.
LaQuisha.
Yeah, like me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that.
Man.
We ain't night riders.
Nah,
so
bro, I'm good.
Sometimes if they're red bone, but like in general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark. If you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And people lost their mind. And then afterwards, after the backlash, Myron's like, "Listen, what's wrong with having a preference?"
When it comes to dating and your personal preferences,
It's
no
an
one
issue.
bats an eye. When women say I want a man that's 6 feet tall, makes a certain amount of money, blah blah blah, those are considered preferences. But if I say, hey man, I don't date black girls like that. Oh God,
You hate black women.
How dare you?
you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
My mom's black. Your mom's black.
Yeah.
My sister's black. Like, bro, we just have a preference.
Not the same thing.
That's basically it. And so in that video, they were both seen in that particular clip. They were both talking about their preferences, and typically, when you are talking about preferences, you don't talk about what you don't want. You talk about what you want.
Correct.
And so they were talking about what they don't want. They don't want Shaniquas. They don't want to deal with black women generally. And so I guess the recoil that they received is that they're basically talking crazy or talking down, or I guess it's a form of discrimination, or I guess a prejudice in a sense, because they're of your own skin type. It's just like maybe there's some self-hate in there. If you base some experiences and you project that upon all races, I would say that's an immature mindset to have, or mind state to have, because we've all.
Don't play me.
I'm not trying to play you. I'm really not trying to play you.
I have.
Okay, you've been okay.
Wow.
I don't know. I promise you, I'm not trying to play. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, but you've been with sisters. It's all good. You know what I mean? It's all good. He good, y'all. He good. But I wouldn't necessarily base one or a couple experiences that I've had with someone on an entire race of people and just say, you know what, I don't date black people just because you had a negative experience with them. Because there's just one bad apple can't spoil it for the whole bunch. Like, you can't let one bad apple ruin something for the entire bunch. Now, I don't think anything that they said was productive. It was
No.
It was.
No.
It felt like they were being condescending.
Yes.
It felt like they were. They weren't doing anything that was adding to the conversation, and they were just projecting their hurt and their prejudices and their preferences onto their public. And you have to, like, when you're in positions such as, having a good following, especially if your mind, if you have, your audience is a younger audience. You have a younger audience who is very impressionable on the things that you do. You should be very cautious about the words that you say and the energy that you project, because a lot of people, based on what they said and maybe their experiences, they will allow their preferences paint their narrative, and so they will automatically shun away from like their own kind, their own culture. They're black people. So I don't think that's, responsible. It's a good thing. Now I do feel that everyone everyone has what they like, but just because you have a preference towards something, it doesn't mean you have to demean or you have to talk down to another race just because it's not something that you would be normally around, or that's not your preference. So I'm gonna start with Chris this time. Chris this time. How do you feel about what they said as far as calling them Shaniquas and calling them Keishas, if you want to deal with Night Riders and all these terms when it comes to referencing black women? They're not talking about them in an endearing way. How do you feel about that, and what would be your response to this this dialogue?
Well, first, you made a really good point earlier, and I wanted to touch on it. You said, typically, when you're talking about preferences, you're talking about what you want, not what you don't want.
Right.
Actually, I would challenge that and say, typically, people talk about what they don't want when they talk about preferences, but they should be talking about what they want, right? Yeah. So there's a culture that, and this is just what I see, even when I watch women, because I don't really listen to men talk about their preferences, but when I watch women talk about their preferences, they almost always talk about what they don't want. They almost will even start with what they don't want. And it just goes to show you the level of emotional immaturity and, where we are. Like how deeply have you thought about this to where when someone asks you, what is your preferences, you can only think of the negative. So if I were to ask someone that question, I'm just being 100% honest, it would ring a bell for me if they started with what they don't want. That tells me a lot about you. Yeah. Right? It's a definite flag. And so I just wanted to point that out, because that was good, right? So I agree. You can't See, this is so messed up, because it's like, why are you even talking about them in the first place if you don't date them? Number one, if you don't date them, then you don't have experience with them, so you shouldn't even be speaking on it. Like, I'm just a proponent of, like, speak on what you know. And if you just simply have a random opinion or whatever about somebody, say, hey, I don't actually know because I don't have experience in this area, but here's what I think, right? It's okay to have random opinions on things where you're not informed. I think it's responsible to just preface your statement. Hey, I don't date, copper women. I don't have any experience with them. But from what I tell, from the outside looking in, from TV, from stereotypes, this is what I see. This is what I interpret. Because what they're talking about the stereotypical black woman. Like, it's super obvious. First of all, I'll say I've never dated a woman that fits that narrative. I have interacted with them, so I know they exist. I'm not saying they don't exist, but my experience with copper women is vastly different from theirs. Like, all of the women that I have dealt with on a serious tip have been intelligent, attractive. They're caring, like they're loving, they're affectionate, like pretty much the opposite of the things they said. So maybe I'm in a bubble. I don't know. I mean, people's personal experiences are their personal experiences. But if you say you don't date these women, how are you even talking about these experiences that you never had? That's what I'm questioning.
Okay, Steven, same question to you. How do you feel about their narrative when it comes to, painting, like if you want to date Shaniquas and Night Riders and all that stuff? How do you feel about that, and what's your reaction to that dialogue?
So I'm not going to take a bunch of time and just say the things that you guys both already said because I agree, right? Okay. The whole thing is it's negative. There's no reason to even say anything like that. If someone said, "Hey, is this what you choose to date?" I mean, not really. It's just not really my preference, right? It's as simple as that, right? You don't have to go into, me and Fresh, we don't date the brown, and we don't like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys have a huge following. You know that black people follow you, young ones follow you, and just in general, black women they already have it hard enough, right? They already are.
They're looked at in a particular light. They're painted in a particular way by the masses.
Right.
Like I feel like the stereotypes are often highlighted.
Correct.
When that's actually not the norm that we experience in day to day. And it also depends on your surroundings and the environments that you're in.
There's so much that is going to depend on it's not just black women either. It's all women. But particularly black women, I feel like, that are in the highlight right now, right? With everything going on with social media, with TikTok, with YouTube, everything, they're in the light. And there's so much conversation around black women. It's a very interesting time. And as a black man, whether you choose to date them or not, whatever, these are still your people, right? And whether that's your preference, I mean, that is one thing or another. Like, we all have our preferences, right? Yeah. So earlier, because you tried to play me and be like, "Well, Steve, did you ever?"
I didn't try to play you.
You did.
I didn't know.
You okay? That's okay. All right, you didn't know. Well, let me set the record
straight. Set the record straight.
Okay? I have actually now. I don't have a long track record of relationships because each relationship that I enter, it's long term. So I don't have
exactly.
Hold on a second.
Exactly.
Hold on a second. So I don't.
That's why I'm saying.
I know.
I wasn't trying to play you.
I know. Let me just get this out. Right.
Get it out.
So let me just get it out to the world, right? Because maybe other people out there don't know. So, but each one of my relationships, right, an active relationship, has been long term. I've never been in a relationship that was short term. I have been in relationships with more black women than I have with any other race.
What?
Yeah.
that was a normal cough. Maybe I don't know. That was just a regular cough. I wasn't trying to play you. Okay. You had more relationships
with black women.
When?
We didn't run the list of the names.
I'm just okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, this is your story. I
have no reason to lie.
I know. That's why I'm asking when.
Relationships, right? So I'm talking about because
relationships.
I'm making it very clear because
relationships are very broad term.
Okay, well let me make it very clear,
please.
Okay, so I'm talking about a woman that I have said I am with you, you're with me. If you go have sex with another man, you're cheating on me, right? That we're in a relationship.
Unless you agree.
Unless we agree, that's how we're gonna live. But
some people are swingers.
Hey, I mean, I'm saying, right? But to me, that
depend
on your
playground.
I will post you on my Instagram or my Facebook and say, "This is my girl." Right?
Okay.
Relationship.
Okay, so you've been in relationships with more.
I have been in more
relationships with black women than anything else. Yes. I got you. I got you. We out here. So
now when it comes to dating, right? I mean, now a mixture. There's been a mix.
Yeah, you don't mind. You dibble and dabble.
But here's the thing, right? And this is gonna get a little honest for a second. Right?
Uh-oh, Steve got to get honest. Let's get honest, baby.
You mentioned, them talking about their hurt, and you mentioned, why they don't, and why would you press away a group of people, right? And the only thing that I could imagine is hurt, right? It's trauma. Like, what was it that black women did to you that made you push them away in the sense of, I am not going to date the entire race, right? And the reason...
It's like Frieza.
I mean, I'm saying, like...
Dude had one encounter with Bardock and was like, get rid of these monkeys.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole race, like, right? So, I mean, for me, going through life and going through relationships and dealing with different groups of women... I've gone through some things, right? And I think that everybody's been hurt, right? But trauma and things affect everyone differently. And I have gone through some things, and I have been very, very hurt by my own women. Not just in relationships, physically. I mean, I've been abused. I mean, I have been through a lot with black women, and it has made it very difficult for me to get over that hump sometimes, right? So
see, and then you thought I was trying to play you,
right? You know. Well, but what that means is, now, will I ever say I don't date them? No, because that's not correct, right? But let me say this: I have an extremely high standard at this point, right? The bar is set so very high for black women, for me, based upon the things that I've been through and my own traumas.
So if you were in a scenario where, I'm about to put you in the hot seat. So if you were in a scenario where there was a Hispanic woman and a black woman, and they fit all your criterias, you felt that, they made you feel good and all that stuff, y'all have the exact same criteria. Would you pick the Hispanic woman, or would you pick the black woman?
What is different about them?
Who they are.
Their race.
Their race. The only thing is different is
they're
their
the
race.
same person. The only thing different is their race, and you like they have all your preferences.
What we doing, Steven?
I'm picking a Hispanic woman.
And why is that?
Because of previous traumas. I mean, and now let me be clear. Like, that does not mean that I would not like her.
But you're not saying that you prefer Spanish women over black women.
Correct.
You're just saying, based on your experience,
right,
you are more prone to do this just because you have a particular trauma with this.
That's correct.
You're taking everything, making everything equal, and having the same history, having the same past that you had. Everything being equal with these women, you're going to lean towards the one that you think is going to be safer, because the other one in the past has hurt you.
Right.
I think that is absolutely fair. I think that's absolutely fair.
The word that, Chris, that you said that made the most sense is safe. I mean, just like once again, we get real here. So just like women want to feel safe, I mean, men want to feel safe too, but not in the same way, right? We want to feel safe in different ways. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and just throw this out here because it's just way too much. But I mean, like, when I say that I've been like hurt, like, man, the stuff that's happened, as it hurts, and so I have there's a bar. So what they're talking about, the stereotypical, that the attitude and the all that stuff, like, just that, I mean, me personally, I mean, I prefer, my preference with my own women is going to be someone like myself, right? I want you to be clear, be concise, be health conscious, speak very well, be educated. I want you to be doing the things that that a grown adult should do. I want you to be feminine. I want you to be, get along with me. Right. Right.
So I'm gonna ask both of you, when it comes to your preferences, do you make the complexion or your race the factor that decides if you're gonna date someone? Chris, how do you feel like when you're dating someone? Do you say, you know what, you have to be black, or you have to be Latina, or whatever race it is? Do you make that something that's apparent, or if they fit your criteria, whatever they are is what they are?
Wherever intention goes, energy flows. So I put my intention when I go to, if my intention is, my default is a copper woman.
Right.
When I say copper, y'all, I mean black. I
Black.
just don't.
We try our best not to say black.
The term black, it just means so much. There's so much history behind it. Yeah. So I like copper, especially because that's what we look copper anyway.
Actually,
so
copper colored.
But
you about doodoo brown, but go ahead.
Wow.
Doodoo brown. I want to rock.
I think that for me, my intention goes towards my own women, and so that's what I attract, and that's really, all that I really interact with. It's not because I'm saying you have to be this thing, but if all things considered, in Mel's perfect scenario, you have the perfect girl, and you have perfect girl A and perfect girl B. Which one would you choose? I would choose the one.
First off, I don't speak like that.
If you had to choose one, Bob, which would it be? I would choose the one that looks most like me, right? Because I think that is our natural inclination to do. Yeah. Everything else is societal. You have societal norms, but our natural inclination is to gravitate to what we are. Right. So that's what I would do. But I don't,
You don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate. If
that's just your preference.
Right. If I meet a woman, whether she's Asian or Caucasian or of the Blasian persuasion,
if she Asian persuasion, everything that
I'm not a rapper. But I don't care as long as everything it fits and meshes, and what we talked about on the other podcast, we talked about what a healthy relationship is. Yeah. If they meet that criteria, then we're golden. Right. Yeah.
Nice. So, Stephen, I think, did you answer that kind of?
No.
Okay.
Wow.
No, well, okay. Yeah. So you don't. So same thing that I asked Chris. You don't preference it by their race. But you just select it. You won't allow their race to decide your ultimate, I guess, alternative. Right.
Correct. I mean that is correct. So if I'm not going to, there's no race that I'm going to say just no. There's no race that I say I won't date you. Yeah. Once again, preference wise, would I, real talk, right? What would I prefer? Like at the end of the day, I would love to be in a serious, healthy, relationship with a copper-colored woman who is just like, I am down for Steven. This is my man. I support him. I ride for him. This
is what you're ideally wanting currently.
I mean,
and that's what you're projecting out there currently.
Is this a question or a statement?
It's a question. You're wanting your copper-colored queen that fits your criteria of how you define, that will give you a healthy relationship. This is what you're projecting out there as what you want. Because I did paint scenarios out there that was different. So I just want I just want to make sure I'm clear on your intentions that you're projecting.
Okay. So that's why I said it's a question or a statement.
It's a question.
That I would say no. That's not what I'm projecting.
Okay.
And
so what are you currently projecting, Stephen?
To be honest, so I've been single for a long time, right? So I took almost 5 years off.
Danger zone.
Yeah, being single, not being intimate. I took 5 years to work on myself and to heal so that I can get to the place to even begin to be open to date all races. So as of right now, I mean, race is not really, it's not at the top of my list. It's somewhere in the middle to the bottom. It's not really what my focus is. Right. I'm more focused on, as some of you guys may know, I've lost 170 plus pounds. I'm trying to figure out what I even like now, right? This is something that maybe we can talk about in another day. But people that have lost 150, 100 pounds, like, you change so much. And that's why it took me 5 years to even really start to understand who I am and what do I like. What's my worth? What's my value? What can I request from the field, right? And from the dating field, if that makes sense. So I'm still trying to, I'm still not trying to figure out, like, I have a much better idea of what I actually want. And as of right now, I'm really focused on finding support. I'm focused on finding someone that I'm attracted to. But there is definitely a hierarchy. And yes, while at the end of the day, if I could ideally pick what I wanted, I would pick that in a copper colored woman. But I feel like based upon the things that I've experienced, I have set that bar so very high. The women that I am looking for to say, well, this is what I need, are not particularly looking for me, if that makes sense. So I think that that's where that comes in. But once again, that's all preference and all that's all honest, and that's not what they said. So I very much disagree with what they said, how they said it. I think it's absolutely irresponsible to say things of that nature about your own people and around, especially with, how black women are already kind of under fire and they're trying to figure themselves out. It doesn't help. It's more hurtful than anything else. So,
well, see, here's the thing though. They're just making content.
Yeah.
Like, they're making inflammatory content. A lot of people think Fresh and Fit are idiots and they're just scammers and blah, 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 blah. No, they're just content creators. Why do we put them on this pedestal like their opinion should hold so much weight? Like, it's no different. To me, it's no different from, let's say you're watching House of Cards and a character on the House of Cards says something. They're demeaning women. It's a character on a TV show. Like, we don't view it that way because it's not scripted, it's not written, but they're content creators.
So they're doing it because they know it'll get a reaction.
Yes,
it'll cause people to tune in.
You think that they're oblivious to the marketplace right now? You think that they don't know the things that are being said? Me personally, I perceive things so different.
Yeah.
And I think I had a back and forth with somebody on this the other day because of something I said. I perceive the world differently than y'all. Like, I have almost a 180-degree perspective on most things. So when I look at, first of all, when Fresh and Fit said that, it didn't upset me or make me mad or anything. I laughed. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, these dudes are wilding. You know what I'm saying? Now, you can say, well, Chris, that's because it wasn't said about you. No. I have a YouTube channel. People say things about me all the time. I've just learned to deal with it differently. Number two, I'm like, I look at the genius in it. I'm like, these dudes are smart because now guess what they're doing? They are touring on other people's podcasts, getting more exposure, getting their brand out there. It's absolute genius. And it's not even new. Kanye does it. Like, well, all the Kardashians do it. Like, I even think Scottie Pippen is doing it right now.
What, to get his book out?
Yeah, like, come on, y'all. Like, these are content creators.
Yeah, but they said something that ruffled feathers, so I guess that's why. And also,
it still hurts.
Yeah.
Maybe not us, right? But it hurts.
Well,
does
does it hurt? My question becomes, and this could be true. Does it hurt when a character on a TV show says it?
No, because it's scripted, it's fake.
Right. And that's and this is TV, because if you sit down and you have a conversation with them one-on-one, I guarantee you it's a completely different.
It would probably be very similar to this, right? Like, they would probably never come out and say why they felt like, like maybe they saw some things as children. Well, maybe I already know. There was something that happened that caused them to push things away.
Right.
Right? That's what I just said. I expressed. Mm-hmm. I went through some stuff, which caused me to then push away and then to raise this bar. Right? Or I can just come out and say, that's just not my preference. I would prefer not to.
And see, that right there, that's the difference between us and them, or just us and a lot of men, because a lot of men don't feel comfortable That's a very vulnerable thing to say.
Yeah, it is.
Especially on YouTube, where people are going to dissect. They're going to say, "Oh, you should just get with the Becky," and all of this crazy stuff that people have said that to me. You know what I mean? Like, and I almost exclusively date copper women.
Yeah.
And they'll tell me, "Go get with the white girl." Then it's like, no, I'm just not interested in, I guess, what you are, because you're taking offense to what I'm saying. But it's like, men are allowed to have preferences, but let's talk about preferences. Like, don't demean people.
Yeah, don't demean people based on their preferences. And I feel like if you're speaking about preferences, more than likely you should highlight your preference,
So
and
Jamel,
not what you don't.
because as the host, right? I know sometimes you just forget yourself.
No,
right?
I don't forget.
But
I was trying to breeze past it, man.
I know.
Steven was just
I
like,
know you were.
I was trying to.
let me take the host from you real quick.
ahead.
Give me the host, real quick. So Mel, right? So you tell me, like, what is your preference, right? In women, right? What do you say? Well, I'm going to rate one race over the other, or where do you feel like you preference?
My preference is dealing with is kind of in the same realm of what I define as a healthy relationship.
Okay, well, can you express that to us?
I don't necessarily have. Well, hold on. You have to be more specific with your question, because you asked my preference, and my preference is
Your preference towards race of women.
I don't have a preference.
You have no preference.
No,
Jamel, you have no preference.
I don't have a preference as long as. Chris, I have told you this. I have been consistent in this with years. As long as you are, you're cool, you're attractive, you live a healthy lifestyle, I'm okay. You have to be physically attractive,
Do you? Well,
He doesn't have a preference.
I don't have a race preference, but currently I'm aiming for more copper colored women.
Okay.
Like my goal is like, hey sister, what's good, sister?
Is that go? Is it working?
Is it working?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's doing its thing, man. It's buffering, baby. I'm not, I'm single out here, man.
Oh, okay.
It's doing what it's doing. I'm putting the intention out there. Now I have the intention currently, like, I say, hey, I want me a beautiful copper colored woman out there, and more natural, and I want to be beautiful, similar, goals when it comes to health, and that's mainly it. And the thing is, it's been coming back.
I mean, you know what, man? I feel like, well, maybe not what we're asking for is hard to find, because obviously, Chris has no issues. Well, maybe that's good. I like
it is good, because I'm out here. I'm out in these streets, cuz.
Streets right now.
I'm out in these streets, man. I mean, trying to get me a queen out here.
Okay.
You smell me? I'm trying to get me a queen, so.
Well, ladies, you hear that,
Hey, but you got to understand, man.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, ask me a question.
I've been pretty honest, right?
I've been honest.
I have not said that you weren't.
All right, then you make.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Do you feel like the bar is the same height for copper-colored women as it is for every other race? Asian, Korean, Chinese, white.
But okay, what are we measuring against?
Your standards.
So basically what he's asking is, you have an Asian girl, a white girl, and a copper girl. They are equal in value. They're equal in attractiveness. Which one do you choose?
Is that what you're asking?
No. That's I understand that question. That's
that
the question you asked me.
That question will get you to your because if one, and they're all equal, if one is chosen over the other one, then that means that there's a bar, there's a standard.
Okay.
So they're not equal. One would have to be greater. So like, let's say he chooses white over the black and the Asian. that would mean
if they're
that,
all equal, then that just means that your preference is towards that race.
Shit, let me get out.
That would be your preference, right? That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Get that
So
ice
I'm
cream.
saying that if
The vanilla,
you
the
have
strawberry,
everybody
the chocolate.
is at a 6, right? Everybody's at a
Neapolitan.
6 based upon let's say 7. Make him, he looks good.
8.
Mel, right? Okay.
oh,
Okay.
Man, whatever. They look good. They're
Okay, they look good,
beautiful.
right? So they're all in the same. They're all in the same level. Okay. Do you feel like you like? Let me talk about myself. Right. I stated this. The bar for my women I have set higher due to things that I have been through. I require more from you than I do from other races in order for you to be at the same place. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing, right? It's an honest thing, right? So it's just like a woman going into the workplace or a black man going into the workplace.
But what is the question you're asking?
Hold on a
me?
second. And having to work harder to get the same job.
I mean, I understand.
That's okay. Well, that's what I'm asking you. Do you feel like that the bar is set the same across the board, or do you feel like there are races that have to work a little harder to be with you, or is everybody just the same?
I personally will put everyone the same.
Okay.
Like
I can answer these questions for Mel.
Nah,
Maybe
man,
it's because
I personally would view everyone the exact same. You know, black, white, Latino, Asian.
Mel's preferences are not attached to race, gender, creed. Well,
As long as you
maybe
treat,
gender.
it just so happens that
That-
what you preference.
as long as you like me for me, you accept me for who I am, you add value to our relationship. You don't take away. You don't give me insane amount of stress.
You like anime, right?
Love anime.
What race likes anime?
Most races.
What
Now it's
where is anime born?
It's in Japan.
Okay, so what like it's Asian.
Yes, but I'm not just because
So
a woman is. I mean, that's a dope thing.
So do you think that so it's not about race, right? That you may particularly like Asian women. I'm not saying that's the only thing you like, but your affinity towards them is not particularly towards what they look like, but maybe because they enjoy a lot of similar things. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
He didn't say anything like that.
not at all.
You just said that.
I don't need like it's good for them to like the same thing in anime and all that stuff, but that's not like a deciding factor. I don't set bars different based on race. Like I don't. I think that's limiting. That's limiting your options.
I mean,
Like, why make it harder for a black woman than make it easier for a white or Hispanic?
as I said,
I mean,
it's not a good thing. It's an honest thing for me.
yeah. I'm just speaking. I'm not
Yeah.
targeting you,
Yeah.
even though you said it. But I'm just speaking.
Well,
it's how you feel.
I keep it.
You
know
keep
what
it
I'm saying?
above. I'm not going.
I set bars, but it's not a race or a skin tone thing.
Right.
It's based on how I perceive you. Like so for example, if I meet you on Instagram and you got your booty cheeks hanging out, I'm
It's a
approaching you
wrap.
completely different
Approaching you.
from a woman from a woman that I meet out at the lounge or whatever, who is appears more reserved. You know what I'm saying? So that's also important. But I mean, that's just I don't think there's I think setting those bars or whatever, I think they happen naturally. I think it's hard to look at everyone equally, especially when there's context.
I don't think that I mean, I understand, but I don't think that when it comes down to like brass tacks, like when in real life, like we don't really have control over that stuff, and we do, but it just happens. You know what I mean? Like you just look at certain things, and based upon things that you've experienced or whatever, there's a processing that you have. Your subconscious processes things.
I mean, how traumatic was your experience with black women?
It was bad.
It was very
It was
traumatic.
bad.
I will back Steve. His experiences with black women has been very traumatic, and I also think that the age played a role. So at what age you experience these things will definitely, because you've also experienced traumatic things with Caucasian women.
That's correct.
So it's not exclusive, but having traumatic things happen back to back with a particular person or type of person when you're young has a more long-lasting imprint.
You don't have the coping skills to manage the hurt, right? To manage these things. So my whole young adult life, I almost exclusively dated copper-colored women. That's it. Like that's it. I didn't start dating outside of my race until after college. So I mean, and that's why you didn't know that most of my relationships, because that's where most of my relationships were.
I met you in New York.
I was after college.
So
right.
So
at that point,
when you tell me like, yo, man, I dated more black chicks, I'm just like, really now?
No.
Really?
I've been in more relationships.
And I'm just like, really?
I gotta be very clear because there's a difference.
I mean, we've been a Webster home, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, listen. I mean, but I was in a relationship at that time, though, right? You remember?
He doesn't remember her clearly.
Joy.
Joy.
She was a sister. I remember that.
So,
now it's coming back
to.
Here's the thing.
Joy.
Here's the thing about Mel. Mel is very honest in how he feels in this very moment right now. If he doesn't remember something, it didn't happen. Yeah. And he will be very adamant about it. And that's just how he's always been. Like, so understanding how Mel, that's why Mel, you just gotta learn, Mel.
Hey man, I'm
you
simple.
Just gotta learn
I'm simple, man. You know.
Hey, listen, man. I appreciate it, and you know, maybe I don't know if that's a podcast conversation, but I mean, you know, it was a lot, and it once again, at least I understand.
Right.
I understand it, and I'm not saying no, or I'm not open to any things, but once again, what I am saying that I need and want. Maybe more than what I'm able to grasp.
And that, you know what? That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Like you have your preference and you have your trauma to back it up. Fine.
That's a terrible way to
I mean, you have your preference and your trauma's there, and you're still working through it.
He's a real person.
And you're going to get there. So I don't want that, just to clear it up so people don't think that you're a black hater or whatever it is. You're not a self-hater.
You don't have a problem with Knight Riders.
Yeah. You love all people. You just have trauma.
What is that Knight Rider? What is that?
I don't know, man. ACB rolling. I don't know, man. But yeah, man, let us know in the comment section your thoughts and your beliefs and how you feel about this. Do you have any preferences and all that stuff? And let us know how you feel about, this conversation and how you feel about the Fresh and Fit talking about that they, how they felt about black people or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this
black women.
Yeah, black women. Yeah, black women. I mean,
just open it up to the whole.
Right, the whole. How do you feel about black people?
Whoever they like, because they seem like they hate themselves when they're speaking down to the people that's of the same color. So. Yeah, man, this has been a very enlightening and good episode. And yeah, man, we will see you beautiful people next week. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit them thumbs up, go up to the sky and all that stuff. Elmer Fudd, man. But yeah, man, Chris James, Stephen Michael, Animated Mel. We will see you beautiful people later, all right?
Peace.
And love.